There is going to be a lot of divisive opinions here. Jaiswal versus Kohli in that run out, Jaiswal 82. Who's at fault? Gentlemen, the floor is all yours. Who wants to go? Who is at fault in the Jaiswal Kohli situation?
Is this even a debate? According to me,
Please.
it isn't. I'll be very, very clear and very honest over here. Because just as far as cricketing logic goes, as far as how things go, the first thumb rule of batting, running in between the wickets is if the ball is not behind the stumps, not behind square, if it's in front in the vision of the striker, then the call is clearly of the striker. It's not the job of the runner to be doing ball watching. Secondly, if the ball would have been, if the wicket would have gone behind the stumps, that is a very different thing. But here it was clearly Jaiswal's call.
Which I will add in the Pune match. When Rishabh Pant and Virat Kohli
Yeah,
was there,
yeah.
it's juxtaposing to that.
Yeah,
That time
exactly.
the ball went behind.
Yeah.
But Pant was not quick enough.
Yeah.
Okay,
Here,
continue.
second, after that, Virat Kohli watching the ball, I think a microsecond loss there.
And
after that,
and an important addition, a trigger movement
a
initially.
trigger movement. No, I'm saying, okay, trigger movement, even though, see, at times what happens now, when the batter sort of strikes the ball, just as a reflex action, you have a trigger movement. Maybe you're not going for the run still, but you still have that trigger movement. But it's at the end of the day, you have to trust the call of the striker in that sense. Also, the danger end, I think that is very important. It was hit on mid-on. See again, mid-on was because it's a test match. The circles aren't, the 30-yard circles aren't made in that sense. So that is why I feel even Pat Cummins was a little outside that circle. Even though we cannot see the circle. See, I think it was half.
Seen the replays as well.
See, was he there to stop the single?
Yes.
No, but it wasn't for the. See,
Because there was no single for the taking in the first place.
how wasn't there a single
Yeah,
for the taking?
please.
I have
Yes.
seen
Yeah.
enough.
This is the other
No,
side
you
of the
make your
debate.
point,
Yeah.
and I know where you're coming from, so you make your
So
point.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
patiently
Yashasvi
listening to you.
Jaiswal, it was the danger end. As far as the danger end is concerned, it was at the bowling end, because the throw the Pat Cummins would have thrown at the end that was closer to him, not the further end, which was even further far away from him. So even the danger end was of Yashasvi Jaiswal. So Virat Kohli I don't think he should have sort of done ball watching, and as soon as by the time and Yashasvi Jaiswal also completed the run. He was almost there on the wicket, so even Virat would have reached. Also, the throw wicketkeeper also had to reach the stump.
Sufficient ground,
Yeah, had to cover sufficient ground. Until and unless it would not have been a direct hit, Virat Kohli would have been absolutely safe.
The other side of the debate.
If the throw was done on the
So for
further
me,
end.
there's no one guilty party. I look at it as 55-45. 55, Yashasvi Jaiswal at fault for me.
He's at fault.
Yes, 45, Virat, where is he at fault? Because he's 45 for me. I'll first talk small bit about Virat. Shashwat rightly says cricketing logic tells you that if you're the non-striker and if the striker's hitting in the V, this is something I remember explaining for that
Pune run out,
situation as well, Rishabh situation. If it's hit in the V, which is where the sight is for a batter, then you completely trust your partner and you go for the run. That's what cricketing logic tells you. That's point number one, though. However, this isn't the complete story over here. If you are empowered as a striker to go ahead and make the call for a single, doesn't mean you're always right. In this situation, Yashasvi Jaiswal was wrong because there was no single over there. You look at where the fielder was. Pat Cummins is planted there at mid-on. The ball gets played completely in his track. He doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to move a lot of inches as well. Just 2 steps forward, the ball comes exactly in his track, exactly where he would want it. The preferred arm, everything, doesn't have to move an inch, as I said, and had to just ensure that the ball is then thrown to the keepers. And he could have, in fact, it was so well, the ball came so well in his track, he could have chosen which end to throw and had the two been caught in the middle. But that wasn't the situation because Yashasvi was firstly. Now, let me add more logic to this. It was the last ball of the over. Yes. Yashasvi had gotten some momentum in the previous overs. Was there a single there? The ball was hit with soft hands. Agreed. It wasn't like hit very well that it reached
Are you sure it was hit with soft hand? I thought it was hit fairly well to go that quickly to the fielder.
But I'm saying even if it, because for me it was sort of, okayish kind of a manner in which it was hit. But I saw no run over there. Again, this is not T20 cricket. What was the need? And I understood the urge that he wanted to be on strike the next over as well. He had momentum with him and he wanted to face whosoever the bowler would have been. Maybe it would have been Boland from the other end or whosoever.
No, it was Boland bowling.
Bowling. So
I
maybe
think it was
Cummins
Cummins or a Stark.
or a Stark, whatever. He just wanted strike at that point, and I understood where he was coming from because he wanted to keep that strike. Because forget the run out. I'm saying even while we were all watching, the moment that I saw him hit the ball, like, why is he even running for this? Because and the ball hadn't even traveled. The frame wasn't such that I could see Pat Cummins. My first instinct was, why is he running for this? So that was, and it was all, in a moment that you realize, okay, so that was my thought, how I processed it. Because you're not playing T20 cricket.
Right.
There's no real hurry over here. And was that run really on? To me, it wasn't, because it was hit clearly in the path of the fielder. There was no run over there, while Virat shouldn't have wasted that microsecond ball watching. However, it was the wrong call to make. So just because Yashasvi had the right to make the call doesn't mean he made the right call.
Right. Okay. So you are saying that primarily since it was no run. So it was Jaiswal's fault. You believe that since he's the striker, Yashasvi Jaiswal, he has the prerogative. Okay. Yeah. And you have to trust him come what may. Yeah. Okay.
And also just to add on to that, I think it was played with soft hands, so it did not reach that quickly. Secondly, Jaiswal to begin with played that shot a little outside his pitch.
Are you sure that it was played with soft? Because I'll tell you the chronology. Okay, what happened? Okay, Scott Boland is coming from round the wicket. Okay. So Yashasvi Jaiswal in the last couple of overs prior to that was hitting the ball very sweetly. Okay, he had raced along to 82. Good strike rate of 70. So what he does is he wrists the delivery to mid on. Okay, you see the kind of shot he wristed it. Okay, I don't think by my first instinct that the ball was played with soft hands, because normally when you wrist it, it's not played softly. You have to have a fair bit of power to wrist the delivery to mid on. Okay, so that's one. It went, Jaiswal immediately head off. Okay. Kohli had a trigger movement, but then he realized, oh, the ball's going too quickly. He then went back.
Don't say that. I don't think it was, you know why? I'm sorry to cut you short over there, but what I felt, and this is where I think, even though, see, ball watching was for all about a microsecond, as we were saying, but I would give it to the batter over here in Virat, or the non-striker in Virat, because of all these years of playing cricket, and if mid-on's up, then your instinct will also tell you, okay, the fielder's here, why is he running? Yeah. When you know where the fielders are planted, you don't really take that risk, and this is not T20 cricket.
So that is what Virat thought. Okay, so that's
firstly,
what Virat
I don't think the mid-on was absolutely up in that sense. That he was
no. Not seen the footage.
No, I have seen it multiple times. What I'm trying to tell you is, I don't think he was on the circle in that sense. It wasn't like he was.
It wasn't deep. He wasn't deep.
No. What I'm trying to say, it wasn't like a dip. It wasn't like the mid-on you would have in a limited overs game, because the way Jaiswal was actually playing, I would, as a captain, I would have mid-on a little halfish, not even on the boundary, not even there to stop the boundary and also to prevent doubles. It was also, it wasn't to protect the single.
Inside the circle, simple as that.
Okay, so just
I think
upstairs
Pawan
it was
has
there.
something to show to us.
Up.
Okay,
look at that.
So
there's no boundary question over here at all.
He was not deepish. He was in between. So he was closer to mid-on. If you look at it, closer to the stumps area. Okay. Now, looking at the
this is also at the time he collected the ball. By then, even Yashasvi Jaiswal.
I am telling you, he didn't have to move more than 2
He didn't have
steps,
to move much.
More than 2 steps.
Yeah.
So he is well within the 30-yard circle is what I'm telling you.
So, okay. Now, look at what has happened here. Okay. Kohli initially had a trigger movement. Let us be very honest. That footage doesn't lie. He had a trigger movement, but then he realized, oh, it's going too quickly. I'd better turn back. So he turned back. So when Jaiswal has already had more than halfway down the pitch, it's too late. Now, is Virat Kohli a slow runner? Number one. I want to ask you all that question. He's supremely
I have
fit,
no
right?
doubt about his fitness and the fact that he would have made it.
Yes.
I may also tell that if he had just trusted Yashasvi blindly,
yeah, he would have
maybe he would have.
Yeah,
I would
okay.
say 80% I have a feeling you would have made it. However, it's the cricketing instinct within you that will make you turn, because this was very risky. Again, it's not a T20 game, Siddharth. This is Test cricket. And was there a dire need for you to, change ends and ensure that the strike was being rotated? No, runs were flowing rather quickly and rather smoothly.
So
I don't think that single was on.
What has happened is, if you look at the Pune incident, what happened? Rishabh Pant was slow. So there we exonerated Virat Kohli from all the blame, because it was clearly his call. Virat had played it there. Everybody was tempted to say Virat was in the wrong. No, Virat was absolutely not in the wrong in Pune.
It wasn't even his call.
It was Rishabh Pant's call. Okay, number one. But number two, here in Melbourne, look at the situation. Jaiswal called. He called immediately. He had across. Virat must have wasted ball watching 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds.
No. 3 is a lot, Siddharth.
2-3 seconds, I'm saying.
No, less than
1-2
We're
seconds.
talking fractions. No,
1-2 seconds.
1.5.
Okay,
perhaps.
1.5 seconds. But had he trusted Jaiswal's instincts, okay, they were taking quick singles prior to
Sir,
that.
just because it's like saying, just normal life analogy, just because I know you know how to drive doesn't mean you won't hit the car into the mountain.
Perfect.
People
Fair
can do
enough.
that, right?
Fair
I've seen
enough.
Virat being in part of such runouts many a times.
When?
Many a time, whenever, lots of times, even Rishabh Pant thing, when
No,
once
but
he
Rishabh was
himself,
not his fault at all.
yeah, it
at
wasn't
fault,
his
no.
fault. I'm not saying he's been at fault many times.
Which is the other
The-
time?
when
I
he
can't-
got he got run out with Ajinkya Rahane. He himself
Fine,
got,
but
yeah.
then that was his mistake.
No,
I'm not saying it's been his mistake ever. All I'm trying to say is that he has been part of such instances
So what?
when either of the party has gotten run out because of that.
When
If
Rohit-
if a batter, I'm just saying hypothetically, if there's a batter who bats 60% of the times or 60% of the balls, because he's my best batter as he has been over all these years, if he's spending more time in the middle, it is bound that he will be involved. So many of the times it was MS Dhoni, if he wasn't finishing, was there at the other end, because the game situations are such.
But-
so whether he is there at the other end or not doesn't always tell the full story.
See, but looking at the way how they had run previous quick singles, okay? Looking at the trend, you can check the commentary, you can check the footage also, how they had run quick singles. It was purely on instinct and the trust that was there. Here, trust and misjudgment went out of the window.
It was too risky, Siddharth. It was just too risky. For
However-
that reason, which I'm not, ball watching while it's almost sort of borderline criminal if you're doing that as the non-striker. Here, I don't think that's the case, because it was just too risky. It wasn't
Because
on.
you know what happened? That trigger movement is the giveaway. Initially you started, okay, but then you turned back. And that wasn't it. It wasn't as if Virat had run down that way. It just was inches. He had just inches stepped out. But
You
again,
also have to keep in mind that Jaiswal had almost completed the run. Virat hadn't even moved, and also the wicket keeper had to cover a lot of ground. So even after
Exactly.
Jaiswal, even if Jaiswal would have decided to turn back midway, he still would have reached. So clearly the danger end was of Yashasvi Jaiswal, and that's a very big reason why you have to trust the call of the striker.
because had he not wasted that initial trigger moment plus watching the ball, I am 100% sure he would have made it. Because the
comfortably-
flow was also
comfortably.
quite far. It took Carey some time to get there and whip the bails off. Okay, it took time. So in this case, I think as you pointed out, cricketing logic, striker has to make the call. And it's not as if Virat is a slow runner. He's a very quick runner. So by that logic, if I have to look at it, yes, I will go for it. I will trust my instincts and run. What happened to the instinct? What happened to the judgment? In this case, Jaiswal was looking in far better rhythm than Virat Kohli. Let's be very honest. Kohli looked good, but then he had his moments also. Which is why I say the blame in this case, very partly is with Virat Kohli mostly. Because in my judgment book, he watched the ball. It was just fractions of seconds, like you said, but a fraction of seconds in any other day would have resulted in not run out for him. And that proved to be catastrophic.
The only thing I think, you see, Yashasvi, of course, we get to see these visuals where he's at the same end as Virat's, but he was overcommitted to the run from the word go, not Virat. Virat needed that time to be sure whether there was a run or not. And
Exactly.
once he got that surety that there's no run over here, both of them
Which
are,
is
but
where I
That's
think-
not the job
are
of the
almost shaking
non-striker.
hands.
No,
It's
That's
not-
not the non-striker's
No, sir.
job.
Again, like I said, if I know you're doing something wrong, you may just be able to pull it off, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to check on you.
But I'm going to suffer now. In this case, it would have been Yashasvi Jaiswal who would have suffered because clearly the danger end was of Yashasvi Jaiswal. Virat Kohli, anyways, it wasn't the danger end for Virat Kohli. That's a very big reason. It's not just about trust in this. When you're running between the wickets, it's also about who's going to suffer if the call goes wrong. It's always the person who's calling who's going to suffer. That's why you have to trust his call. More than trust, it's also about who's going to suffer.
You know, I've always been at loggerheads with him, but then here I agree because if it's mid-on, traditionally the fielder
Siddharth,
throws it to bowler's end,
But
not to the
I'll
striker's
tell you
end.
what,
Exactly.
from where the ball was collected, you see, he was almost sort of, he would have gotten to see at best one stump of the danger end. However, he could see all three stumps of the other end.
Fair enough. But then normally on instinct, I'm just talking about instinct.
It would have been double the distance, half the distance for
Exactly.
Virat Kohli
You
to
wouldn't
cover
have
as
thrown it
compared to the
that
throw.
much. By the time he threw and Carey would have collected, Virat would have
Again,
made
we're
it.
not playing T20 cricket, guys.
Yeah,
That's the way I look at it.
It was a risky run.
Yeah.
It was made far more suicidal by the run out. We are unanimous on
Yeah,
this
it
fact.
was definitely a risky
Risky
run, but still, I feel that
You
how
are
much risk
now-
was there?
You are now reaping the thing that, okay, now it is risky. I might escape. No, you have not escaped.
But
because
the only I think why Jaiswal is also at fault. There's just one reason for me why Jaiswal is fault, because this happened a couple of overs back also, where there was sort of a confusion where Jaiswal decided to stay back when Virat said no for the run. So at that point, when Jaiswal knows that, see, with Virat Kohli, such situations have come up when at times he has also been at the receiving end. At times his partner has also been at the receiving end. These are the moments as a senior, maybe Virat Kohli, and even for a Jaiswal who's junior, who knows that how important his wicket is, how important his runs are, they should have had a communication word over there, because at the same shot, same position before a couple of overs back also exactly that had happened. So that is where the communication should have also happened from both of them.
But this is a divisive opinion. This is going to divide social media in a big way. It's even divided us because no one is in consensus as to who really is at fault. Both parties are at fault, but Shashwat and me, we are pointing to the side, okay, Virat is primarily to blame because you have to trust the striker's call because it's in his
Shashwat is saying
vision.
entirely Virat to blame. You're saying partly Virat.
Partly, but it is in the maximum, in the majority. Harshit's argument is that there was no run. Agreed. He had hit it so well that there was no run. Because when you wrist it, you don't play with softly. You don't wrist it softly unless you glance it to fine leg or to that.
Looking at the match, it's not like, Yashasvi hadn't got any runs for the last 10 balls or so, where
He
batter,
was
you
batting
just-
very well.
As a batter, you feel frustrated at times when you're locked in the crease, you haven't scored a run, the pressure mounts on you. None of that was there for either of the batters. So was the single run, it was very, very risky, when especially knowing, again going to say this again, yes, Virat should have trusted. However, the single was so risky that at times that cricketing instinct and experience also overshadows that the norm of the game, which is for you to just trust the one at the other, because you know the field setting as well.
Yep.
And when the ball is has been hit straight down the throat of the fielder, too risky. Doesn't matter who's where.
And see,
You're risking a wicket either way.
if this is dividing us, even in the dressing room and all the analysts, no one will have a unanimous thing because this is the kind of situation which is perfect 50-50. Who is at fault? I don't know. Who can be at fault? We may know. So that is why this will divide opinion on social media and also amongst us.